welcome to another edition of Space Snacks. And I am here tonight with Amy Oliver. Hi, Amy. How's it going?
Hi, Ty. Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Now, Amy, you're just down the road in Tucson from me, and we are both NASA JPL Solar System.
A little further down the road.
That's true. You are a little.
I gotta tell you, a little further down the road.
Why don't you tell us
much further, much closer to Mexico, an extra hour down the road. So I work at the Whipple Observatory, which is in Amato, which no one's ever heard of. And then I live in Rio Rico, which no one has ever heard of. But if you've heard of Nogales, Arizona, it's kind of by that.
And so what do you do exactly?
So a lot of things. I think everybody you talk to does a lot of things. I am primarily the Visitor and Science Center Manager for the Fred Lawrence Whipple Observatory. So that's at that site in Amato. That is owned by the Smithsonian Institution. And so I also serve as a public affairs officer for the Smithsonian Astrophysical Observatory and the Center for Astrophysics, Harvard and Smithsonian. That's a really big mouthful. Say it 10 times fast, you get a lollipop or something, or a pat on the back. And I'm also a NASA JPL Solar System Ambassador. I'm a science communicator and an informal educator called the Nerdy Astronomer. I'm here in full nerdy gear tonight because I sort of feel like I had to bring it, right? You're bringing it. I see your outfit. You're bringing it. I had to bring it.
Yeah, I got my hats back there, but yeah, I like to dress up a little bit. You know, we met through the Solar System Ambassador program, and which has been really great.
We did.
Now, how long have you been at ambassador?
Yeah, I was telling. I don't know. Long enough that I forgot.
That's good.
A while, several years at least.
This is my third year.
I get afraid answering that question because I still look like I look really young, and I don't want to tell people how old I am by being like, I've been in the program this long. Like,
and I
like that's Patrick, you know, Patrick Wiggins, one of the longest solar system ambassadors in history, and like, huh?
Okay, I'm going to ask Shayla. Shayla is on. She's a solar system ambassador. Shayla is on. Is in the chat, and she's a solar system ambassador. Shayla, can you hear us okay, or are we coming in broken up? Can you let us know. So if you're not hearing us very well, drop us a note in the chat so that we know. We've been having some bandwidth issues tonight, and so we want to make sure that you can hear us. And so I want to ask you, Amy, why space?
Technology. Oh my gosh, why space? Because it's for everybody. Space is for everybody. Science is for everybody. And for me, you know, it started with Cassini when I was 12. And then, sorry, terrible origin story. A teacher told me I wasn't smart enough to be a space scientist, and that's awful, right? But then later it was just sort of like I figured out it's all about process. It is not about the outcome. And so every single thing that goes wrong for Nerdy Astronomer and for me, like with science, it's all about the process, and I love it. I loved getting accidentally hit by a film canister rocket. I love having, you know, breathless balloon explode in my face. It's process, and science is for everybody. Space is for everybody. If you think about it, we can live on different continents. We can have different socioeconomic backgrounds. We can eat different foods. We can learn differently. We can have different jobs, but the night sky is there for everybody. The universe is there for everybody. And that's what it is for me. It doesn't matter where you are, what you always have the night sky, just like everybody else.
You know, that's such a nice message. Have you always been into science and space ever since you were a kid?
Really not. I mean, I told you my origin story, right? I gave up science because of experience for a really long time, and I didn't pursue it. And that makes me really sad as I think about where my life might have gone if I had not given it up. I did grow up in a family of scientists. You know, my dad's an amateur astronomer. He builds his own telescopes. Like, I think the only thing he doesn't do is pound his own mirrors out. But, you know, he was always teaching us to revere nature and to love the night sky and, you know, to get our hands dirty. And so I did grow up with this innate love for rocks. You know, I could have been a geologist. I still love rocks. I still collect rocks.
That's
fantastic. I went outside today to take out the trash. I was like, oh, that rock's pretty. You know, so I think it is a lifelong thing, a little bit.
A little bit of a lifelong thing, right? And so for me, people ask me about being a geology and picking up rocks and stuff. No, didn't do it. I was all into military aviation and building model airplanes and wanting to be a pilot. And so so earth science, it came later for me. Like when I went off to college, I'd always been good in science and math, but not just your average student. But my dad loved science and math, and so he was the one who really encouraged us to go and become scientists. So when we think about space and food,
yeah,
I want.
My dad too.
Yeah, and what I loved about my father was that he always encouraged me to go and, you know, explore. Didn't matter what it was. He didn't care, just as long as I was exploring something.
Yeah.
I think there's a slight delay. Okay, I think everybody can hopefully hear us all right, because there's just a little bit of a delay between us.
There is?
It always makes for interesting TV, right? Technology. So where do you want to explore the most? Are you a moon girl? Are you Mars? Are you the International Space Station? Do you prefer the Earth? What is your favorite place to explore?
Oh my gosh, Earth, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, because the moon is great. Mars is great. Everything out there. I would love to visit TRAPPIST-1 a million years from now when we have that technology. But Earth, there's so many things we haven't explored. You know, zoologists are still discovering new species every year. And that tells you everything we still don't know about our own planet. And I think that that's a really phenomenal thing. And I'd like to explore it from top to bottom before I ever leave it, you know? I haven't even, to be honest, I haven't even been to Ohio. I've been a lot of places, but I haven't been in Ohio. So I feel like I have to like at least go to Ohio before I can go to the moon.
So is Ohio high on the travel list out of all the places? Is that the...
I have some volunteers from Ohio, and if they're watching at all, I'm mad at me. I mean, like, I have a list of places, like bioluminescence is really high for me, right? So that's like number one. I need to see bioluminescence and like hang out there. So I have to go somewhere where that's a thing first. But I would like to see everywhere. My goal is to go everywhere on Earth and see everything. I've thought about Antarctica and many places in Africa. And so I have this desire to see and experience everywhere. So I don't really repeat a lot of trips. And even if I really love somewhere, because I want to experience everything. Because there's something special about everywhere on Earth.
That is so true.
So, I mean, even that.
One of my goals has been to experience, try to travel as much as I can. And so I feel very fortunate that I've been able to travel a lot for my work as a geoscientist. And so as you're traveling, what kind of food do you want to eat? What's your favorite thing to eat?
Oh, cheese. How does that just like seethes out like it's cheese melting out of my mouth? I love cheese. I think I mentioned to you a couple of days ago that I discovered those cheese crackers, where people like take cheese and they just bake the cheese. And I was like, the world's perfect food. It's cheese I can take anywhere and it doesn't melt in the sun. And so it travels well, right? So I'm like, I could take that cheese to Mars or maybe to the bottom of the Marianas Trench. So that cheese can go anywhere with me. And I find that to be really endearing about cheese, but I'm a huge cheese. Yeah.
I usually have some of that cheese in my cupboard, but it doesn't last long. And that's the thing, because I'll eat the whole bag in one sitting,
I try so hard not to, but it's impossible. And now that everybody makes it, there's all these different brands and flavors, and it's like, okay, well, at least I can die happy on cheese.
Do you have a favorite cheese? Are you a Swiss or Parmesan, Gruyere, cheddar, sharp?
I eat an awful lot of Parmesan cheese, but and if I have to go for the cracker snacks, I'll buy the Parmesan ones, right? But I really like Fontina cheese.
Yeah.
And I'm a really huge fan of Gouda.
Oh,
right.
Gouda.
And then I learned how to bake brie, so how to cover it in almond flour. I don't eat wheat, so cover it in almond flour and then bake it, and then it's this like oozy, gooey thing. I learned how to do that in Scotland, actually. So I'm a huge fan of that. And so really almost anything. I will eat almost any cheese.
You're speaking
even
my
stinky
language.
Cheese.
I really love cheese also. So I'm eating the same thing. And so when you bake your brie, do you also put like a jam or jelly or preserve with it, or apples? When you
do. So I buy a locally made jalapeno raspberry. They call it ras pepper.
Ooh.
And so I eat it with that.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, so it's really good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I know I'm definitely going to come to visit. It's been on my list to come see you, but I'm definitely going to expect some cheese when I come down.
That's not a problem in my house.
So if you could be
There's an entire shelf devoted to it.
So if you could be traveling with somewhere, anywhere on Earth, and you could have any cheese you want, who would you want to be eating that cheese with and why?
Oh my gosh, who do I want to eat cheese with?
Right. Who do you
That's
want?
not a fair question. I would say get asked like the dinner party question. I'm sorry, like my office chair is an exercise ball, so I'm getting excited now. I'm bouncing up and down on it, right? So, wow. Yeah, so right now today, I would bounce on this exercise ball eating like sharp cheddar cheese with Jimmy Fallon. Because I feel like we're both right at the same amount of like quack, quack, crack, right? From the teleworking situation. But traditionally, I think, I mean, if I could bring a group of people together to eat cheese, it would be the director of the British Museum and the director of the Smithsonian, the secretary of the Smithsonian, because I work for him. I've never actually met him, right? He's a very busy man. He has 6,800 employees.
Yeah.
Somewhere between 63 and 6,800 employees. So I've not had the opportunity to meet him yet, and that'll come. But because they're very brilliant people, and I think Alice Bowman from New Horizons, Alan Stern, because he's just awesome. My list gets longer the more time you give me to think about it. Shane Larson from Sierra, because we're already friends and he's hilarious. We could make jokes about cheese for hours.
That sounds great.
So, we could find, it's just this weird intersection of people, because they are all brilliant and they can all bring something to the table that makes this beautiful conversation about space and art and humanity and how we connect to each other. And that's my thing, right? Is how do we connect to each other?
Oh,
and we talked about that. That's my fascination with space.
I love that. And so it's a buffet of cheese with a buffet of people.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I love brains. That came out zombie-like. But I just love the uniqueness of every human mind. That sounds better. And so I think there's a lot of people I would love to talk to. I love just sitting. This is maybe a problem. Maybe I freak people out, but I will sit next to a random stranger on a subway in New York and strike up a conversation because I'm like, I want to know your life experience. Connect me to your human experience. And I think that all leads back to that space. I'll tell everyone about space. Give me 2 seconds and then I'll take 5 hours.
And what's interesting is because you're a very outgoing, extroverted, fun person. But you seem like you're in a pretty small, remote, isolated location.
Yeah. But yeah, you see the look on my face. I'm like, yeah, that the isolated location. So that's very true. And I came from a big location, right? So I moved from Salt Lake City, Utah, with I don't know how many people live there, 2 million people packed in like sardines, to Rio Rico, Arizona, and I did it. First, the wide open spaces are beautiful. That's very attractive for someone who's lived in a city and couldn't even see the Big Dipper for a long time. But it was attractive to me because there's something more important to me, and that is access. And I have something to provide to this community, and it's important to them because the access points aren't as prevalent here.
Yeah.
People from Nogales, Arizona have to cross the Border Patrol checkpoint to go to Tucson, to go to a planetarium. They still have to do that to go to my observatory. And so it's important to me to live in the community that I work in and that I serve so that I can go out and help them. So if a school in Rio Rico or Nogales needs a scientist to come and talk to them, I want to be that person for them. And there are a lot of disparately served communities in this nation that deserve that. And, maybe this is my first stop or maybe it's my permanent stop, but that's what I want. And that is my internal mission. That's where my compass points to, is providing that access.
That is such a fantastic message of, access for all. And it really resonates again with your message about the night sky and that not belonging to anybody, that belongs to everyone, and providing that. How long have you been there now?
Like, that's like that question about how long have you been in SSA? I'm like, I don't know, forever. I have been here. I moved to Arizona in November of 2018. So it's been just over a year and a half. So we hit my year and a half mark in the middle of April.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And so you've gotten, are you getting used to the heat?
No. That's a type of science I do not appreciate quite yet. I'm watching intently for climate change to change the heat, but it's different, right? So Phoenix was in the mid-low hundreds today. Yes. Rio Rico didn't top 100 degrees today, right? So we remain under 100 degrees. We don't get that many 100-degree days in the lower Sonoran Desert because we are much higher in elevation. That sounds funny to be in the desert, but be higher in elevation. So where you are, you're at like 1,700 feet. Where I am, I'm at like 5,000 feet, right? So it's a different ecosystem. And it's a different geographical space for the weather. So,
yeah, definitely.
Which is great because I don't think I could live in Phoenix. My brother's surprise, and I'm like, no.
It's definitely getting on the hot side. So now, do you like to bake or cook? Are you a takeout person? If there's a lot of takeout options, what do you like to do when it comes to food?
Okay, great. There you go. Right. You get it. You're figuring out where I live, right? Because you saw the look on my face. I'm like, the takeout. And I'm like, what takeout? But I used to be a huge takeout person, right? I'm huge into burgers, but the time that I've had here in Southern Arizona, there's not as many places to do takeout from. That's not saying there are not places, right? I think the nearest place I could do takeout is 15 minutes from my house, right? So I'd have to drive 15 minutes into town, town being the grocery store, the diner, and the bank. I think those things are together. So not a lot of takeout. So I do a lot more cooking here, and so I like to cook. I'm all about fresh veggies. I like fresh vegetables. That's a huge component of my diet, and I live really close to the produce, the produce center for the United States, where all the produce comes in. So I get really fresh produce, and there are a lot of farmers in this area. There are a lot of back farms, so I have access to a lot of locally grown produce as well.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Now, are you growing anything? Do you have a little garden, well, not really an urban spot, but a garden that you keep?
I'm doing this for you. I just took out this marker so I can show you my black thumb. I just conveniently had a black marker there to do that. So I better not touch anything now for a little bit. So growing is not. I have a philodendron that I kept since I was a bachelor's degree. My first year in college, getting my bachelor's degree. I have not killed that yet. But mostly I don't grow things. Also, where I live in the desert, right, we're open range. So free range, because probably don't experience that a lot. So if I try to grow something, cow is going to eat it. And if the cow doesn't eat it, the desert rabbits or the coyotes or the road runners or the javelinas are going to eat it. So I have not yet attempted that. I do want, I have a big affection for fried green tomatoes. And usually my family in Utah saves them, and then I go pick them up and then sneak them through the airport, or charm them through the airport, I guess. But I'm going to try to grow tomatoes so that I can make fried green tomatoes at home. But we'll see what happens with the rabbits.
We have a garden in our backyard, and we made it so it's a raised beds, a couple of them, and we plugged all the wall holes so the rabbits and stuff can't get in. But our tomatoes are just about to come in just now, so I'll have to share a couple of photos with you. They're green right now.
Green tomato.
Well,
you guys, my address for your green tomatoes is.
When we can start visiting people, you're
yeah, well, fortunately, I mean, our local farmers are really good about it. So if I ask, we have Facebook pages for the local area, and if I ask a farmer for green tomatoes, they will give them to me. It's not.
That's really great. That's really nice. So what are you cooking up at home? What are you making up? What dishes are you creating for yourself?
Wow. So today, so I've invented this chicken and rice casserole in an Instant Pot, right? I'm a huge fan of Instant Pot because it's too hot to cook in an oven all the time. And so it's basically 2 pounds of vegetables with rice, chicken broth, and cream of chicken soup. And I just dump it all in the Instant Pot, put the lid on, set it for 12 minutes, and walk away. And I love that. I love simplicity.
Right now.
I'm all about. Yeah, excellent. What is in it? What is in your Instant Pot?
I got. I'm doing chicken with onions, garlic, and trying to make like a rosemary garlic chicken.
Oh, nice. That'll come out lovely. Yeah. So my big thing, and I think you do the same thing I do. It's all about simplicity. right? And whether you were eating in space or on Earth, it has to be simple. And the simpler it is, the easier it is to digest, but the more nutritious it usually is. So I count every ingredient. This is gonna make me sound weird, okay? But I try to. Hi, Ron. Hi, Ron Sparkman.
Hi, Ron.
But we know you. So I try to limit my diet 5 ingredients or less. So that means every ingredient in the ingredients counts as an ingredient. So if I use a salted butter, that's 2 ingredients.
Wow. Okay. So even
so I'm trying to diet.
So your spices count as an ingredient.
Yeah, everything counts because I'm trying to simplify it.
Ooh, I'm very curious. How's it? How long have you been doing that, and how is it going?
So I don't do it all the time, right? Because like today I ate a Reese's peanut butter egg. That has like 25 ingredients in it. That's a fail on that front. But so I mean, but they taste nice. So that's important too. The food should taste good. But I've been experimenting with that for about 5 years. And I started with 9 ingredients. And so I'll fluctuate between the 5 ingredients and 9 ingredients and trying to figure out how to use more natural foods, right? Because I could use, I mean, if you think about it, you can use some sort of sauce that came from the grocery store and it has 17 ingredients in it. But if you were to make it at home, it might only have 3. Right. And so really it's more about learning how to be more simple and how to eat more fresh and more natural. So the longer I keep my diet simple, the more I am eating fresh foods and natural foods. So I want more broccoli in my diet than, I'm sorry, I've been doing this so long, I can't even like think of things that I could eat that would have lots of ingredients in them.
I love that.
Is that funny? So like, yeah, instead of eating like cereal, which has like 25 ingredients in it, I'm eating a strawberry.
That's
and so that's the difference.
In really thinking local too, local and fresh. Do you have a favorite, going back to space, do you have a favorite celestial object? And if so, what is it?
So I love that question so much. You can see how excited I get. I'm like, the big grin face from the emojis. Supernovae. They're so cool, and I always thought supernovae were really cool. But Sai, you disappeared. You're gone from my view. I always thought supernovae were really cool. But oh, you went to get me a supernovae. Nice. Okay, so that's actually the Crab Nebula, but I'll take it. I accept your Crab Nebula. And I can pretend that I love Crab Nebula more than I love supernovae. So the Crab Nebula is actually really important to my career and my life. The Crab Nebula made the Fred Lawrence Whipple Observatory famous. So that's what we're looking at here. And that is the first source of a TeV, and that's really high energy. We're not going to do the big science thing about what TeV means today, but that is the first source of TeV, high energy gamma rays, that were ever seen on Earth by a gamma ray telescope, and it happened at the Fred Lawrence Whipple Observatory. So I love that picture for that. Supernovae have become really, yeah. So I get to talk about that. I get to talk up those scientists. We have, I guess, too. I'm gonna, keep talking up the observatory and say we have the only gamma ray array of telescopes in North America. So we're very special. When the pandemic is over, come visit. Not before that, though. We're closed, like every other observatory on planet Earth. So, but supernovae, I love supernovae because they are the death of a star. And so it shows you how beautiful that process can be, of the end of a star or its star system. But at the same time, there is so much energy in that explosion that it can actually trigger the birth of other stars, which means it's triggering the birth of solar systems, which means it could be triggering the birth of another Earth. And so, or another Earth-like planet. And that's really fascinating and incredible. And of course, I love nebulae for the same reason, right? Because they're the birthplace of stars. So there's this stellar nursery, and then if a star dies anywhere nearby, it can trigger the reactions inside the nebulae that cause the birth of stars. And so I think that's incredible. And also, again, I talked about zoologists, finding new species every year. And the same thing is happening in space, right? So everybody thinks there's a type 1 supernova and a type 2 supernova. And I'm like, actually, like, now that I've spent all this time with this scientist, Burger, he's like super famous for supernovas. I know that there's like type 1 and type 1A and type 1A something and type 1B and type 2B and type 2A and parapulsational instability. And so there's all these different types, and they're discovering new ones all the time, right? So I get to write about this and help them communicate these new things that they're finding out about supernovae. And that's really exciting to me, because every time he calls me, I bounce in the chair because when the phone rings and something amazing happens. And so it's really exciting to hear from him. And I will run. I have this watch that tells me the phone's ringing. And if it rings and it's his phone number, I like run for the phone, because I'm like, don't miss that call. You never want to miss the discovery of something amazing.
That's really fantastic. And I loved your passion for science and science communication and space and all of that, because it definitely shows through. And I think that's one of the things that makes you such a good science communicator.
Well, they make it so easy. Scientists, they make it so easy. I told you that I had an interview with a USA Today reporter the other day, and I said something about solar system ambassadors, and he said, "Hey, I know Cy Proctor," and like everything derailed, because it was like, "Oh my gosh, did you know Cy is doing this and this and this and this and this?" And I just went off about it. I'm supposed to be talking about light pollution, and air pollution, but you guys make it so easy. You're a science communicator too, but you're also an astronaut and a scientist, and you make it so easy to be excited. There's always something new, and it is. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to say it's the passion from the scientists, and how cool you think your own work is that makes it so easy to be excited. You're so excited to tell me about it that I can't be anything but excited to tell other people about it.
And that's one of the things, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show and to have amazing people on it, is to share that passion and get people to think about all the different stories, and make the people who are doing this more accessible, more human. And what better way than food, right? And our shared love of food, and thinking about space. And brought us. You know what? And what snack would you have brought?
Cheese. Right. Cheese for my cat. I'm sorry, I started laughing and I started turning away from the camera because my cat's in here and he's going, ah! I need attention. Start talking to the ball on the table. I think that's part of making people more accessible.
I just got this vision of, do you know Wallace and Gromit, the cartoon Wallace and Gromit?
I do.
Well, you know how Wallace loves cheese. So I'm thinking, what's your cat's name?
Oh, this one, the one that's causing all the drama over here, is Fanta. Like the soda pop, but spelled H. So Phanta, Fanta.
I see another show, a version of that, but it's Amy and Fanta. And Amy's like, cheese, Fanta, cheese.
Yeah, he would steal it from you. He would totally steal. Actually, that's not true. I have another cat. who is, I call him my house micromanager, because as I've been teleworking from home, he stands in the doorway all day and glares at me from the doorway, and that's Drew. And Drew is a stealer of things like cheese. So if I make, I make zucchini pizza, where I use the zucchini as the crust, and then I put the cheese and the sauce and the pepperoni on each individual slice of zucchini, and Drew will steal that.
Wow. And eat it, or just
play
with
it? To. It's so good. No, he'll take it. He eats it. He like takes it away from me. It's really rude. And I did, there was a place in Utah I really like called Ruby Snap Cookies, and I brought cookies back to Arizona the last time I went to Utah, and I sent them a video of him stealing a cookie. He legit opened the box, pushed the lid of the box open, took the cookie, and ran. And so, like, everybody likes food. I like food.
Well, I see a cartoon in the making that could rival Wallace and Gromit, just so you know.
If there's any animators out there, sure, take my life and cartoon it, but not me. I have too much to do.
Yeah, I understand that. So do you have a go-to drink that you like to have when you're eating your zucchini pizza or cheese?
Water. I drink a lot of water.
Yeah, I'm doing the same. Out of my Star Trek glass, I got my water.
I love it. I also occasionally I have this enormous wine glass, okay, like the goblet on it is this big, and I will fill that with ice water and carry it around so that I'm having fancy water. But I love water. And in the desert, right? Like you're in Phoenix. In the desert, it's so important to drink water, and tons of it. So I drink a lot of electrolytes. I love tea too, right? So I love a good rooibos tea, a red rooibos, and coffee. Like those are the three things I can't live without: coffee, black coffee, rooibos tea, and my water.
That's really fantastic. I could go on and on with you. I wanted to go a little bit longer, only because I know we had a few audio issues in the beginning. But one last question for you before you leave, before we say goodbye to everybody, and that is, do you throw parties? And if so, are they space themed?
Everything in my life is space themed. I wish I could like turn the camera around real slow and show you my office. I have this big drafting desk, but it's actually not for drafting. It's for holding my very enormous atlases of the galaxy and orthographic atlases of the moon. Gotta have a table for that. Everything in my life is space themed. I had a New Year's Eve party where to get in, it was like 80s themed, but you had to wear flash dance or space pants. Like anybody old enough to remember space pants, pat yourself on the back. And people didn't get the message, because I know people younger than me, so they actually wore leggings that had galaxies printed on them. So, that's fine. I get it. I'm a space person, so when I said space pants, I meant space. I throw parties for the observatory all the time, so everything is space themed. Monday is Star Wars Day, right? So everything about my life on Monday is Star Wars themed and space themed. Now that I live in the desert, I don't throw as many parties, but because only the coyotes would come. But if I have a party, I gotta be really honest. The last 10 parties I threw were star parties.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm that kind of nerd, right? I'm also a normal person under here, right? Like I have glasses, but I'm a normal person under here. And I'll tell everybody watching, I like normal things. I have cats. Cat. I like sloths. I like cartoons. I like Criminal Minds. I have lots of funny leggings that have nothing to do with space. You know, I like zoos. I like my niece, my baby niece. She's like 7 months old. But I really like space. So I would rather hold a party where I invite everyone and their telescope to my house because I live on a mountain ridge, right? So I have this beautiful 270-degree unobstructed view of the night sky. So it's like, okay, we're going to put the grill out in front of the house and we're going to grill burgers and everybody take your telescopes in the back, right? That's a party. That is a party to me. Or invite a few times I have invited the neighbor kids over to do science, and that's a party. So 20 neighborhood kids come over and we make science at my house and we, you know, do balloons and stuff and we have a party. So it's all science. I sleep, live and breathe science.
I love it. And I can't wait to attend one of your parties and bring my telescope with me. So I'm there. So put me down. Amy, is there, for people to follow you or to be connected with you, can you tell them how they can follow you on social media and be connected?
Yeah, I mean, so the easiest way, you know, Fred Lawrence Whipple Observatory, we're still coming out of the 1980s in a lot of ways. So we have a Facebook page, which is FL, so the letter F, the letter L, and then Whipple Observatory. And that's really easy to find on Facebook. We just got a YouTube, so there's a lot of stuff on YouTube, and that's Whipple Observatory. And to follow me personally in my science journey, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, I am Nerdy Astronomer. So it's really easy to find. My face isn't on there. A cartoonist actually turned me into a cartoon. So, so Nerdy Astronomer is a cartoon, but I will be really obvious because the cartoon is this red shirt and these pearls and these glasses. And so you know that it's me, and you know, my freckles and red hair. So it's really, really obvious that it's me.
That sounds great. Amy, thank you for coming on. It's been really great talking to you and catching up, and I love everything that you're doing. I can't wait for us to get together again and do a solar system ambassador thing together.
Yeah, we've got to. We can do one virtually or we'll do them in person. I'm so excited to see you again.
Yeah, me too. Well, thank you and have a great night. And everybody who's out there listening, thank you for tuning in. Bye.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming. Bye.